All right, we're back. We are COMP305 and in the fall 2017 semester, and we are week 3, part 2 of our broadcast talking about the 2D shooter demo with Unity. I just wanted to add one more thing before we stop for the day. We don't have a lot of time for this one, so it's going to be a short video. So we're in Unity. We've made the camera work, the ocean work in the background. So we have a scrolling ocean in the background. This is where we got to. And what I want to do here is I want to add in an island that kind of randomly spawns different places, right? So as every time the island will come down, one island, and as it comes down, it meets the bottom of the screen, it'll reset. Sounds like the ocean. It'll reset, almost the exact same code, by the way, to the top. Let's see. So I'm going to get the sprites. Here's my sprite. I'm going to grab my island sprite and pull it in. I'm going to rename it right away to capital I for island as opposed to lowercase I, right? And the way I would test this out is, again, I definitely want to put an order in layer of 1, but hold on. That means if it was an order in layer of 1, and if I ever dragged my island, here's my island, if I dragged it on top of the player, it may or may not go over or underneath. And that means that I want to change the order and layer of my player to at least to 2. So I want my player to kind of run over my island like this, right? I don't want my player to be underneath the island, which could happen, right? So to prevent that, I'm making my player order in layer 2, island order in layer 1, with my ocean order in layer 0. So 0, 1, 2 in that order. Okay? When you guys build your games out, especially from a 2D perspective, you're going to have to think about that. Also, when I do my island, I want it to start at a random space, right, on the top part of my screen, from here to here. That's where I want my island to start off. So some random place in the screen, right? And then it's going to drop down, but it can't be faster than the ocean. The ocean and the island have to kind of come together, right? I can't have an island that travels at 10 pixels per frame, but my ocean travels at 5 pixels per frame. That's kind of weird. Like the ocean and the island are kind of scrolling at the same time. All right, so let's make our same thing we did last time. I'm going to make a nice script for this thing, right? So this time I'm going to do a script here. C# script. We're going to call this island controller, right? And I got my island here. And I'm going to drag and drop my island controller on top of my island so I can attach it right away, right? And now here's the thing. If I do some testing, and if I was to pull this down here for a second to really zoom in on where my island can start, right? So here's my island. Part of my island, the most where it's going to reset is probably going to be around here. And if I look over, you can see that my Y position is going to be 270. Now, if we're lucky, then my my Y position will be negative 270 if I'm below the screen. So if I come out, it's going to leave the screen like this, and it's going to come to about right here, which looks like around negative 270. So that's pretty the balance that I'm hoping for. Let's try and make this happen. All right, so here's my island controller, very similar to what I had before. I have what I did with the ocean, where I had this vertical speed and the top boundary, but I also have the bottom boundary, right? So I have two boundaries, the top and the bottom, right? And I have left and right as well. I have left and right because I don't want my ocean or my island to appear too much to the right or too much to the left. I want to give it a range, right? So I want to kind of think of that. So let's make it the same way. So I'm going to serialize fields. Here's my serialized fields. And I want to talk about my my reset position, or let's call it the reset position in this case. Reset, so private, which is going to be of type float, reset position. We'll talk of it like this, just a little bit differently. And the reset position is going to be that negative 270 and 270, right? So I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. So I'm going to have one position. When I go back to my ocean or my island, instead of putting in a negative or positive number, just like I did with my ocean, what I could have done differently is have some kind of reset position. So I'm going to show you the difference here. So I'm going to use 1 in this particular case, 270. So my reset position is also at the top of my screen and the bottom of my screen, right? Think about this. 1 is a negative number and 1 is a positive number. That's all I have to do in code, but it's the same number, right? So that's something I could do differently, right? So I also need the other part for my Ocean controller. I do need some kind of vertical speed. So I'm going to grab that and just copy paste, right? So just to show you that that's going to be done. So this one I definitely need vertical speed. And my vertical speed perspective for my island controller, right? Here's my island controller. I definitely want my vertical speed to match my speed of my Ocean. So for now, I'm going to make it 5. Okay. Just like I did before in my Ocean controller, it's very similar. I definitely want a reset function, some kind of reset method that does this, right? Whatever the reset position is. So I'm going to grab this whole thing and put it back into my island. Now, if I start grabbing and dragging and dropping, that means a singleton class that I can reuse here, right? I have a top-down scrolling. I could make a top-down game object, right? Some kind of a game object for this particular game, which has similar properties. So I don't have to duplicate my code here. I'm not going to do that today. I just want to get my game working. But eventually, I'm gonna update my code to optimize it. Right now, I'm not optimizing. I'm just making it work. All right. So here's my island controller. This is true, but instead of top position, it's going to be reset position because that's what I called it. Right. So that's what my reset position is. Okay. My vertical speed is definitely something I need to talk about. Right. And that's inside my that's inside here, inside my update function. So this all is true, pretty much, line by line inside my update function. But check bounds I don't have. Let's add that in. So inside my check bounds function. It's almost exactly the same so far, but this is good. This is why I'm telling you this is a case. I'm building a case for making a singleton class that I can reuse. So it's not top boundary. It is the reset position, but we have some changes, right? Because the reset position is 270. That's what's going to reset. I'm going to call it inside the start function. So this._reset. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, right? So I'm resetting to that position. But then this check bounds is not going to be the reset position, but rather the negative reset position, right? So I can actually just put a negative sign in front of that, and that'll take care of it. So my reset position is 270, negative reset, negative 270. If it's less than negative 270, I'm going to reset it up to the top, right? If that makes any sense, because it's 270, negative 270, right? That's where I put this thing. Okay, so that's where this is going to be. Now, that's one part, but this, right? It will run the island, hopefully. Let's see what I get when I just run it like this now, right? So here's my island. I kind of hover over the island, but then it comes back in the exact same position. I don't want that. So this is the one change I got to make to my island compared to my Ocean, right? With my island controller, I want it so that when it resets in my reset method, not only does it produce the position for this reset position, but a random value, right, between the left side of my screen and the right side of my screen, somewhere in the middle there, right? So I could say, we'll just call this a random value, which I'm going to make a var for this. I'm going to say, call this random horizontal position, really long, doesn't matter, just so you understand what it is. And my random horizontal position, it's going to be a number. So I'm going to use random.range, right? This is interesting what Unity has built in, between a minimum and a maximum, where returns a random float number between inclusive and max inclusive. Both are inclusive, min and max number. So I want the size of my screen. I know that it's going to be between 0, that's the minimum value, and 640, which is going to be my maximum value. Yeah? 640 by 480. So 640. This is a hard-coded value, and I could definitely change this. But there's a problem, because my island would target the middle of my island. And I know that my island's approximately 65 wide, approximately, I would say. So I have to kind of not go quite as bit from a 640. I have to kind of, let's say, remove 30 pixels from the right and add 30 pixels to the left, so that my island stays on the screen, so it's not half off the screen. Otherwise, if I just do this, and then in this random horizontal position, I put here, right? Because that's what I want to do. I want to make a random horizontal position, right here. And this, of course, would be a float, right? By the way, you could have just taken this whole random range thing and just put it in here, right? It would have been the same. I just want to try and make it simple and clear. And if I run this now, it should, every time it resets, produce a random location for where it's going to happen. It should. But what happened? How come it's not working? Right? Why is it not doing what I asked it to do? Right? Well, because my random position goes from 0 to 640, or so we think. And this is where some troubleshooting comes into place. First, make sure you save. Next, show me your code. So debug.log. Sometimes you need to do that. And print out the random horizontal position, this piece here that I'm getting, right? It's not going to be 0, right? I want a random horizontal position every time I reset. So what am I getting with the random horizontal position? Let's see what I'm getting here. 572. 572, right? Well, here's the position, 572, 457. I'm getting a random position. Okay, what's happening here? How come it's in the middle all the time? How come it's not taking? I got a random number. I'm passing it into my code. Why isn't it working? Anyone have an idea? I'm actually getting what I want, right? Yeah.
I think it's just randomizing a number, but it's not actually applying it.
Well, here it is. I'm taking my random horizontal position, and here's it. Here it is right here. I'm making this new vector2 object. It's an x coordinate, and I'm passing it into my transform.position. I'm doing that every reset. What about in my update function? What's happening in here? That's bad, right? Look at that. It's back to 0. That's what's happening because this is something I got to change. My transform.position is a new vector of new vertical position. And what do I got to put in there? I can choose transform.position.x. So whatever that transform.position.x, keep it, but give me a new vertical position. And that would fix the problem, right? Because this way I would reset it to 0 every frame. So it doesn't matter what I do. I can put it in a random place, but every frame I'm resetting it to 0. Which is a problem. Now it should work. So now we're getting a random position, and you should see that the island is going to flow down in different places. Let's see if that works. Wait, whoa, that was weird. What happened there? Well, I wanted to show you this because you can see that this is something I want to avoid, right? I don't want it to come out here because it can go way outside the screen, right? Maybe that's what happened here. I don't want it to go off the screen. I want it to go somewhere else. Also, something else I did wrong. I said 0 to 640, but that's not my coordinate system. That was a nice idea that I had. But let's look at the island. The island needs to go from way over here. It's got to start at minus 286, right? Let me just focus in there so you can see it. Here's the island. This looks about right. Let's say to here, minus 287 or 288. Maybe 287. Let's try minus 287. Right? And then to 287, I'm guessing, because it's got symmetry, right? So let's see what this looks like. And let's focus on that island again. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's focus on that island again, right? To see what it looks like. So that's not bad. I can probably go to my guessing is probably going to go to 290. Let's try 290 and minus 290. So 290 there. Let's see what minus 290. It should be symmetrical, right? Should be symmetrical. So we should be able to see the island at 290 and minus 290. Yeah, it's not bad. It's okay. So let's use 290 and minus 290. Well, that means I need some kind of border left from a one left to a right, a min horizontal to a max horizontal, something like that. And I need some kind of variables for that. So I'm going to do that inside my field. And I'm going to use my horizontal reset, or talk about my horizontal border, one field instead of 2. Here's I'm going to serialize field. And let's use, in this particular case, just to prove that we can do this, a horizontal border. My horizontal border is going to be one number, right? We said 290. Let's go back out. So here's my horizontal border. We're going to make this, right? Is that what we said? 290 and minus 290, right? And what we're going to do here is the horizontal border is going to be the thing that we're going to use in our random range, right? So from horizontal border, right? Negative horizontal border, that's the minimum, to a positive horizontal border on the maximum. Now, that should go from the negative number all the way to the positive number, which is going to give us the range we want and keep our object always on the screen. Okay? Now this should be done. And there we go. We can see that that's working there now. So something in the middle. Wait a minute, what happened? Oh, there we go. So a couple of times, that was really weird. We got more in the middle there than anything else. There's more on the left. So what is the island going to do for us? In the game, this mail pilot game, the player is going to have to go over the island. And when he touches the island, he's going to get points because he's delivering mail, right? That's what it is. So I'm going to deliver mail to the island, right? But at the same time, as I'm delivering mail to the island, I'm going to have to avoid the clouds. The clouds are killer clouds that are going to come down. They're full of thunder, and it's going to crash my plane, right? And the clouds are going to come down in different patterns randomly, right? And if they hit me, then I lose a life. That's what this thing is all about, right? It's a very simple game, right? And we haven't even talked about shooting yet. This is just making the game mechanics just movement, right? And avoiding obstacles. Shooting is going to come later when I have an enemy plane that's going to come from the top, right? And it's going to be firing bullets at me, and I'm going to shoot back at it. And it's going to come in a random position and somehow be able to find me with his bullets, right? So we got to figure that one out. Shoot the cloud, sure. Shoot the cloud. All right, but that's really the island in a nutshell. Hey, so we're pretty good. We're going to, and I probably would add comments if I had time. I'm just timing out here. So I'm going to save my scene. I'm going to save my project, and then I'm going to quit Unity. And I'm going to go back into my, I'm going to go back into my terminal window. What was that? Oh, sorry. I'm going to go back into my terminal window, right? I just had to update, of course, at the last minute. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go back into my Finder, into my desktop where my folders are, go to my Unity projects, which is be somewhere down here. There it is, my Unity projects. And then in my Unity projects, I'm going to pull down my folder. So CD, you're going to see it again. Pull this in there. And then when I go in there, I'm going to say git add dot, git commit -m. I'm going to say added island. Oop, if I can spell island. All right, and then once I've added the island, I'm going to git push origin master, and this is going to push everything up to this can push everything up to GitHub. And now everything that you have, everything that I've shown you so far is up on GitHub. If I refresh my screen, you can see now that I have 5 commits where I added different pieces of the game. And please download this and try it on your own. One thing I didn't do, which I'm just because I'm timing out, is I didn't build it. I didn't see what it's going to look like on the screen. I recommend you build it every single time so you can see what it looks like on the actual platform. That's it for me this week, guys. For those people who are here, I'm going to put up, like I said before, at the end of the day, you'll see a Dropbox that comes up. Allows you to submit. Remember today, what's due is you need to put up your PowerPoint slides. In any corrections I talked about, you have an opportunity to change what we talked about today. So people who've worked on their stuff, any corrections, you can do that. And also, you have an opportunity to give me your first draft of your GDD. That's also due today. I haven't seen your GDD. This is going to include all the sections we talked about that really defines your game. So if I told you, hey, don't put a third-person camera in there, your GDD has to change a little bit so that it doesn't include that. Okay? Otherwise, that's it for me, guys, and I'll see you next week.